What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound ATL. Joined as always by my co-host Jonathan Holder. Jonathan, what's going on, brother?
Man, it is it's another beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Uh
it
it
is here.
actually it was a beautiful day. But the last couple days have been really just absolutely gorgeous days. And combine's here.
Right?
Snuck up on me because as I was saying before we started here, you're like, yeah, I saw the banners and one was like Combine Week, and I was like, that's next week, right? Like,
Nope.
nope, this is I was like, oh dang.
Nope. We are squarely in the underwear Olympic season.
Well,
Uh
I helped my mom move all weekend, and
oh.
boy, my body feels it.
Oh.
Uh, but yeah, so I helped her move all weekend, and so like my brain was just not focused on anything else other than that. And then when I would get home, it'd just be relaxing. So I didn't even pay attention to Twitter. I didn't pay attention to nothing.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks earlier this morning. I was like, oh crap, it's Tuesday. I gotta get stuff, ready for the show. So yeah, I get you on the how some things can just you get focused on what you're doing um through your day to day, and as much as we enjoy doing this isn't the main focus of our life. What I'm saying? We enjoy it. It's something I look forward to, but sometimes it can creep up on you.
yep.
But we got a good bit to get into today. We heard from Raheem Morris, we heard from Terry Fontenot, we had a little bit of action on the roster front. So we got a handful of things to talk about. So without much further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, all right. Willie Doc, right off the rip with $5. We appreciate you greatly, Willie.
Hey, Willie
Uh,
Doc.
he says, love the path option videos and the big uglies. Which QB in the draft do you think they are primarily gunning for? Appreciate the great work, pound for pound. Thank you. Just trying something as we do in the off season. We try different things, see what y'all gravitate towards, see what y'all like, and what is time effective for us in a sense to do. The Big Uglies video was fun. Me and Jonathan get to sit and explore the free agency stuff a little deeper in those type videos. So we'll have another one out probably on Friday, looking at the secondary,
Yep.
cornerbacks and safeties and that kind of stuff. See what we could add there. But as far as to your second part of your question, which QB in the draft do you think they are primarily gunning for? A lot of rumors around Jaden Daniels being a guy that they really like, but I would hope for myself, like a Drake May is what I would hope for, just because of his. I know it sounds silly, but just because of his age.
Yeah.
Um, but I think if we are gunning to move up, because it does sound like we're at least are going to attempt to be aggressive. That's all the reports that we've been hearing. I think that Jaden Daniels might be the guy, and that's that number 3 spot. I think is realistically where they might be gunning for. Who do you think they might be going after, John?
I mean, if they move up, I think the goal is to try to go up, and they believe they're going to try to get into a position where they believe they're going to get Jaden Daniels. I think because if you take some of the comments that we heard today in some of the press conferences, we'll talk more in detail about that later.
Yeah,
But the guy that kind of fits based on that would be a Jaden Daniels. But also, I mean, to me, when I look at all three guys, I think if you had your pick, I think Jaden Daniels is the clear QB1. To me personally.
right. Yeah,
But and so I think that if they're going to pay that kind of a king's ransom to move up to whether it's 3 or 2 or even 1 somehow, um, then I think you don't do that for any other guy than the guy you think is going to be the best guy, and I think that's got
yeah,
to me that's Jaden Daniels.
right. You like if you're going to move, and you're going to have to move heaven and earth to go from 8 to even 3, but let's just pretend like we want to secure no matter what, so we move to 1. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about a king's ransom, and
Yep.
um, to get the guy you want, and you better be, excuse the language, you better be damn sure that that's the right guy. That
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because right now, I mean, even it may turn out 5 years down the road, we may be singing a different tune, but right now, I mean, a whole coaching staff got fired because of the wrong guy. Whether that was the guy they wanted or they wanted CJ Stroud, none of that matters. The Carolina Panthers moved heaven and earth to go get number one and
Mm-hmm.
then pick the guy that did not perform well in year one.
Yep.
So, like, you don't want that, right? Especially if you're Raheem. Uh, so yeah, you better be damn sure. Our
Yep.
good buddy Chris out there in Oregon says, I really like the way you guys break down the Friday videos. Good. I'm glad. Because, like I said, we're trying to get what we can in before the start of free agency, obviously.
Yep.
So we may not hit every position, but then again, not every position needs to be hit per
Hit.
se.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, we can argue about it until we're blue in the face, but like, legitimately, we don't necessarily need to do a whole video on the O line. Like, I think you brought back Dwayne Ledford for a reason. Like, with that continuity of bringing back Ledford, and you know, all your guys pretty much played all together last season. I don't see why there would be a big shakeup. You know what I'm saying? So on the offensive line side, so we probably
Yep.
won't do a video there. Probably won't do a video on running backs. You have two young running backs.
Yep.
You're probably going to add one because you're going to lose CP84 more than
Mm-hmm.
likely. So you're probably going to
If nothing else, you get a guy come in to like give a breather to either one of the two guys. Let them sit a little bit longer.
you're looking at a back end of the draft or undrafted free agent at that junction.
Yep.
So that's just kind of the idea there is we're going to hit the positions that are likely to be added to.
Or that we believe are likely to be
Right.
added to.
Exactly. So, Nick is loving the extra videos. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad y'all are enjoying those. Um,
I'm down with Woon here. Let's get us to 10K. Come
that'd
on
be
now.
nice. Yeah, we just saw our buddy Smitty Sports Machine just celebrating him hitting 10K.
Nice.
That would be exceptional. We have stalled dramatically in the 5K area. So tell a friend to tell a friend. I don't know. My wife gets on to me all the time. I'm not the best self promoter.
Yeah. I'm in
So
the same. I'm in the same. I'm a horrible salesman because
yep.
like for me, if I walk up and be like, "Hey, sir, would you be interested in this?" No, sir. No, not interested. All right, thank you for your time. Boom, I'm gone
That's
because
it.
that's what I want them to do to me.
Right, right. That's it. So yeah, it's
I
uh
take no for an answer.
Nighthawk has a an interesting point. This is our punt returner is coming back from injury, and they were playing him at running back.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think there's any real major need to do a running back video. April Thomas says, "What's up, everyone? What's going on, April?"
What's going
Uh,
on, April?
Bug is waving at folks. Hello.
Hey, Bug.
And our good buddy Fred. I was wondering if he was going to show up tonight.
Mr. Butts.
He says Drake May is growing on me. His arm is ridiculous. His arm is absolutely ridiculous.
Well,
Uh,
that's weird because I keep seeing stuff pop up with Drake May where people talk about how he's like they basically dog his arm a little bit.
oh yeah,
Like,
like there is it's such a weird thing with Drake. Like, he seems like every year there's a highly touted prospect that ends up getting dragged for apparently no reason.
yeah,
And this year it seems like it's Drake May. Um,
huh?
which is, odd, as far as that goes, because they're, talking about some of his inconsistencies, which all these prospects have inconsistencies at this junction. So yeah, I think it's an interesting deal that Drake is getting, like, he's getting compared to like Drew Bledsoe and other like mediocre quarterbacks. And I'm like he may not be the next greatest quarterback, but he's definitely
I,
shown you more than what
I mean,
Bledsoe.
his mobility alone puts him outside of that Bledsoe comp. You
Right.
know, it's just like he's not obviously he's not Jaden Daniels. He's not Caleb Williams when it comes to the legs, but he's more than capable of enough of getting outside the pocket. And if he finds a little bit of space, he can make you pay, get you some first downs. If you're not paying attention to him and you go into man and you leave it wide open, he'll hurt you that way. But that's not his game. But he can do it if
Right.
necessary. And his arm looks like I've seen him make almost every kind of throw that you could want him to make. And I'll say the same thing about JJ McCarthy. Like I've I saw some people like talking about how he doesn't, he throws really well when the options are wide open. And I just know that I have seen some throws of his that would be perfectly good and to exceptional NFL throws with guys draped all over his receivers. So,
Yep.
like at the end of the day, I've seen all these guys do really great things, and I've seen all these guys do not so great things. So, yeah,
Yeah, no, it's exactly right. Right now you have they're prospects for a reason, right?
yep,
Like we don't know what any of these guys are going to be once they hit the NFL. You're still asking questions about the, I make jokes about it for a reason, right? I will not ever let anybody forget the, um, you know, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields draft because by God, if you didn't get a quarterback in that draft, you were never going to get one.
yeah,
And out of that draft, one guy's a backup, another guy's going to potentially get traded, another guy's going to get released, and we're still asking questions about the guy who got took number one. So it's an
yeah.
incomplete process, and you don't know how these guys are going to translate.
I still see people talk about like Trey Lance is sitting on a bench somewhere. He needs to get in the game. I'm like, every time he's gotten in the game, he's looked horrible. Not just bad. He's looked real bad.
Right.
So yeah.
No, it's exactly right. Like you don't know what these guys are going to be. I mean, you just had, case in point, Brock Purdy leading the team, Mr. Irrelevant to the Super Bowl. So it is what it is on that aspect. So we're not.
Not as Brock Purdy lead, I don't know, the Panthers to the Super Bowl? Probably not. I mean, he has a really, really good team around him, but you still have to play
You
good
still got to
quarterback
do it.
on those. Yeah, you still got
Yeah,
to
you still
do
got
it.
to do it. I mean, like regardless of, you still have to make the throws. You still have to get into it. Um, and speaking of getting into it, so it's combine week. Is there any
Yep.
one like okay, out of all the useless underwear Olympics that we go through, uh, is there a drill that you're like, okay, my guy has got to do good in this drill for him to continue to be my guy? I don't even know all the drills. I'm just saying,
No.
is there something that sticks out in your head like if my O line don't bench like 82 reps, does is he off my list, or is there a
Yeah.
drill that you're like this? My guy's got to nail this.
Um, Not really. I mean, obviously depends on the position, right? So some positions, certain drills are probably more important than others. But I'll say things like probably stuff like the three cone, because that shows me that probably shows me more um, about some guy on a football field than the 40-yard dash does and stuff like that. Because 9 times out of 10, when you're playing on a football field, you're not going to be running in a straight line, and you're having to do a lot of start and stops.
Yep.
So um, being able to change direction quickly and get going again quickly. So the better your three cone is, then that's probably a better indicator for me than a lot of other things. And even when it comes to like the 40-yard dash, I don't even necessarily care. Although, I mean, if you're a wide receiver and you're running a mid fives 40-yard dash, you're probably not going to get drafted. But I mean, if you're running like a 4.6, 4.7, okay, at that point, I start to look at what's your 10-second split or 10
Right.
yard split,
Yeah, 10-yard
right?
split. Yeah, what is like especially for an edge rusher. Like a
Yes.
40 is great, but if it's an edge rush or if it's a D line, like what's your get off look like? What's your 10-yard split look like?
Yep.
Those kind of things. And I need to just check boxes per se. Um, like I don't care if it's if you're running a sub 4-4 or whatever. Like I don't look. Do does your 40 time match with your game tape? Obviously, all this has to correlate with game tape, right?
Yep.
If if you're watching a guy run a 40 and he's running a slow 40 or a slower than you think, then it's like, okay, well, let's go back and check the film, so to speak.
Hmm.
I think the bigger deal with the combine is the measurables and the medical, right?
Hmm.
The things that like we finally get like official height weights for players, and to me it's more telling if a guy doesn't want to, weigh in or get those kind of measurables at the combine. Then I start to, question a little bit. Somebody had put up here earlier, I think it was, yeah, Nick was talking about Williams and Daniels aren't throwing, and I don't think May is either. I think it's come out that May's not throwing either. I don't think any of your top three are throwing.
Oh yeah, they'll just wait till their pro days
Right.
to
They
do
wait
that.
to their more controlled environments and, guys they're familiar with, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
But it gets to a point where, for the most part, there's not a lot I need to see, like the on field stuff for a lot of the guys. Um, like King's talking about, like, looking for that footwork when you can separate. You don't need crazy speed or to jump crazy high. Look at Jerry and his footwork. He left Dion reading his jersey quite a bit, right? So there's those things that you can look at, like the gauntlet stuff, the change of direction. Can
Yep.
you get up off the can you get up off the ground and explode if you're if you're a D lineman? Because
If you run a 4.440, you're probably going to be faster than most of the guys in the NFL that you're going to like in a straight line. You're going to be faster than most guys in the league that you're going to play against. But if when you go to make a break, it takes you forever to come out of that break and get back up to that 4.4 speed, it don't matter.
right,
It really
right,
doesn't. So and then on top of that, obviously young receivers, you'll get some occasionally that have really good technique. But there's so much more than just I'm going to run this route. There's you're running it, and if you're trying to run like a comeback or whatever, you have to run it the right way early on to make a guy think that it's going to be a go or whatever, and then you got to be able to transition from that into that comeback or the button hook or whatever you want to call it. You know, but learning how to run the routes right in the NFL, because that's what separates the great receivers from the Jags, right?
hmm
Uh, you know, it's just that's what it is. And so your 40-yard dash, yeah, it's nice to have a guy that has that elite speed, but it's not a
oh yeah,
prerequisite. I mean, Ridley, like you look at Calvin Ridley, he doesn't have elite speed, but that dude can get open.
right. It's more about, like, a lot of times it's more about like your technique and things of that nature. Wallace, what's going on, brother?
What's
Glad you
going on?
decided to drop in with us tonight. Um, See, another big thing about the combine is this is where, in a lot of ways, this is the place where this is the golf course of they always say more deals get done on a golf course than they get done in a meeting room.
Yep.
And for the NFL, this is like a big golf course, right?
Mhm.
This is a chance where you get a lot of people in the same area at the same time, and you get a chance to talk. So April's like, I wish we could get Justin Fields ASAP. What about you, Jr.? I think if a deal gets done in that aspect, like, to me, this is a week that it gets done in. Like, you
Yep.
you got quotes from Ryan Poles, the GM for the Chicago Bears this week, or today rather, talking about wanting to get something done sooner rather than later, and then wanting to do good by Justin Fields if they went that route. Which, the fact that you're even saying that in public, right? to me leans towards like he is probably going to get moved. And then now you have reports coming out of NBC Bears, uh, which I'm not 100% sure. It's called Bears Talk. So
Yeah.
it's for NBC. It's an NBC affiliate. They have the gold check mark on X. So it says the Falcons are emerging as the number one trade option for Justin Fields and have contacted the Bears about JF1. Sources tell NBC Sports Chicago. Now keep in mind this is lying season as well, right?
Yes.
But uh, it they would be silly not to check in. Like it's just like the past few years. You gotta like turn over most every what you feel like is an available option. I know somebody's gonna throw up the Lamar Jackson thing. He wasn't available. I don't care what anybody says. But anyway, uh, so it'll be interesting to see what transpires. Uh, I think that there's a scenario where if you get a Justin Fields, that you still may end up drafting a QB.
Well, not
Maybe
according to this Bears fan. He has a mock draft where they select
okay.
Caleb Williams number one. They
Uh-huh.
traded Justin Fields to us for our number 8 overall
Yeah.
pick, and they gave back Justin Fields and their first round 2025 pick. So they
Please.
took Caleb Williams at one, Rome Adunze
Dunze at 8.
at 8, and Brock Bowers at 9. You know,
That's
uh,
like I try not to criticize mock drafts because they are just mock drafts, but that is definitely a pipe dream. Um, I will say
nobody's
that before.
given
No.
nobody's given a 1, let alone a top 10 pick for Justin Fields.
Well, not just that, like you have two glaring examples, right? One a few years ago with Sam Darnold, and it was a sixth that year, and then two day two picks the following year for Sam Darnold. That's what the Panthers gave up. And then Adam Schefter brought up another trade that Ryan Poles was a part of being in that office. And that's when KC gave up 2 second-round picks for Alex Smith. So that's interesting. Like, so it'd be like a second this year and a second next year. So like that's
For
about as
Fields?
yeah. Well, that's about he was talking about the um he was talking about he was referencing the Alex Smith trade from a few years back from KC trading San Francisco for Alex Smith.
Mm,
And the reason why he was referencing that is because Ryan Poles was a part of that front office.
gotcha.
Okay. So I'm not saying that that's what I would give up. I'm just saying that you're talking about like a day 3 and then a couple day 2 picks or 2 second-round picks, which if you get in your sorry, got a dog who wants to be she's a 2023 model desk dog and she thinks that she has to be on my desk. Anyway,
ah,
so if that's the case, I think the richest that you're going to get is 2 second-round picks. And if like I don't know if they're going to, but if Jacksonville signs Ridley, that's an extra second-round pick.
yeah,
So
but they're probably going to be jerks about it and be like, yeah, we're going to sign him the first day of the new season or the new year or something like that, and then we're just
well,
going to be
they're
stuck
they're
with it.
they're taking a big risk there. Like you're because all it takes in that aspect is, Kansas City to pick up the phone. And where do you think Ridley's gonna go? Like straight up and down. Like is he gonna go back to the Jags or is he gonna go to Kansas City? Like if you want to make sure you get Ridley, I don't think playing a game like that is going to benefit well.
No,
Uh, Bradley thinks that a second-round pick for Fields would be overpaying. Um,
I
I
mean
don't
it
know.
is, but that's likely the market, right? So I would be okay. Like if all we gave up was a second this year, would
I
I
mean,
would I would I like it? Not necessarily, but would I also be like, completely crap the bed and this, not the other, and you got fleeced? No, I'm not gonna say that, because
no,
whether it's second or third, I mean, it's still a day two pick, you know.
I could see because they can have a third and a fourth. I could see a day like a third this year, or even a fourth this year, and maybe a second next year, as being reasonable. And maybe that second is conditional. You know, Terry seems to like the conditional type stuff, so maybe it's a deal where if you were to trade for him, that you trade a conditional pick and get something like that. Let's transition into some of the quotes. I don't have them all in front of me. It's not like I have a transcript, but we can talk about some of the comments that Terry and or Raheem made. Have you had a chance to look at any of those yet, buddy?
I mean,
I don't want
specifically the Raheem stuff, yes.
to. Okay.
Terry, not so much. So, if you've got
I'll
anything,
yeah, I've got some Terry quotes here. Um, like first thing, obviously, everybody was asking about QBs. That's
yeah,
going to like I was talking. I was in a space briefly earlier, with our buddy Damsky, but until you nail that down, that's going to be the hottest topic. Like I hate to say it in an aspect. I'm tired of talking about it, right?
yep.
But until we get it nailed down, that's going to be what everybody wants to talk about. So of course that's the first question, and about this draft class. And Terry gave the perfect like GM answer. It's a really good group. This quarterback class is strong. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the profound statements. I love
Yeah,
the profound statements.
yep,
Um, let's see. He gave a small like update on Grady Jarrett. He said Grady's excellent. He's going to find a way to be ahead of schedule. We feel good about that. So, for those like myself are wondering if the cap space for Grady Jarrett would be too much to pass up on, it doesn't sound like they're going to or looking to move off of their uh, franchise, the closest
yeah.
thing they have to a franchise player right now.
And we talked about this before we got on. Like, I saw that tweet where somebody's whispered out there like, Grady Jarrett has no guaranteed money on his contract, and yeah, we could cut him, save
Yeah.
$12 million. Okay, you could do that. You cut Grady Jarrett to save $12 million. That's a
Ooh.
large chunk of change. I'm not gonna look when you come out the other end. You better be right. I mean, you better be right,
You better be right. Like
because
you can't cut Grady and then have another 7-9 season or whatever it is.
yeah, because like say whatever you want about Arthur Smith. You can say he was a bad coach, he was all this and that, and the other, blah 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 blah. Every single player that has said anything about Arthur Smith is that they loved him as a coach. He
Right.
was a great coach for them. And then you hear, we just saw Johnny Smith, and when that's going to come up a little bit later, but you just saw Johnny Smith talking about how like this was his most memorable year in his career, not necessarily for the production on the field, but it was the thing that he harped on was the locker room, like how special the locker room was, and everything. So it's not like this guy's a rookie and this was his first year. He's been in other locker rooms at least,
Right.
right? And with the NFL, every single season is a new locker room, and things can change dramatically and all that other stuff. So for him to say that means a lot.
Yep.
And so you get rid of a Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett is like an absolute 1,000% leader in that clubhouse, and you
Yep.
get rid of him coming off of an injury ended season. Yes, it's a business, and if they go that route, hey, they have every right to do it. They can do what they want to do. But
Yeah, but the optics would look bad, boy.
all I'm saying, you better be right.
I said the Nighthawk says, Grady's a Falcon for life, and Chris says, cut Grady and we riot.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
King says definitely wouldn't do that. He's the backbone. Been his team. That D line starts with Grady, and somebody else said, "Go, yeah." Dre says, I'm willing to say that Grady would be the last Falcon for life player. Like, right. To me, you got to, and like you got to keep him. You got to keep him. Um, you got to keep him for until he wants to retire. In
Oh
my
yeah.
opinion, especially with the way um, that it ended with Ryan and Julio per se. Like you don't want to necessarily start developing that type of a
Well,
reputation.
now I'll say this. I don't know how many more years are left on his contract, but if it comes time like his contract's ended, right? The contract's
Uh-huh.
done, and you decide that you're going to go a different way with it.
Oh yeah, if y'all mutually want to like uh part ways, then okay. Like it would suck, but
Yeah.
whatever.
But
I
at
can
the
I
but
can
at,
handle that.
yeah, but at the end of the day, like you don't cut a guy like great. It would okay. I'm not trying to compare him and say they're the same guy. Okay, I'm not, especially as far as production on the field goes. But this would be like the Rams being like, he doesn't have any guaranteed money left. We could save, I don't know, 15, 20 million or whatever it was with oh his name is just
Aaron Donald.
leaving me. Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
You don't cut Aaron Donald. Okay. Now, if he wants out and you guys can figure out a trade or whatever, then by all means, you go that route. Or
Right.
in worst case scenario, you cut him at that point. But that you better be coming out there like he gets cut. Your immediate response is, "We had a conversation." Aaron Donald or Grady Jarrett in this case, and the front office came to an agreement to part ways, and all that other stuff. Like that communication is going to have to go out immediately, or else, like we said, like chat said, we riot.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, his cap number is 20 million. He would only leave behind 8.2 million in dead money this year. So now in 25, same deal, less dead money. You clear up more, and then 26 is after 25. After next year, Grady's a free agent. So if you don't necessarily have plans for Grady going forward, you know, to me, you let him ride out the next 2 years
Yep.
and you pay him his money. And then at the end of 25, if you're like, okay, we had a good run, so to speak, and he wants to go finish his stuff out somewhere else, then that's when you let him do that. Now, we're back to some of the interesting quotes, and I hijacked our thumbnail from the quote from Raheem Morris because I really liked it. Raheem Morris calls the Falcons situation competitive urgency. And I really liked that term because you feel like you got, a good roster, a roster that can be competitive. So the fact that he like at least acknowledged the urgency to then be competitive, I thought that was a good phrase for
Yeah.
coaching phrases and catchphrases. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's
Like I like everything I've heard out of Raheem Morris has been, and some people may look at that and be like, oh, it's just another it's more Dan Quinn shit, stuff. Sorry. Uh but it's you know, I haven't heard anything out of his mouth that I could basically be like, oh, he's trying to sell us.
right.
He's trying to sell us on
No,
something, right? It all to me personally, this all feels genuine from him. Like it very much feels genuine.
I will say this, like from the media facing standpoint, right? Which is the side that we're on. We don't get to be in the meetings. We don't get to be in the like coaching, sections and stuff like that. So all we really get to see and hear these guys are these little sound bites and clips. Um, Listening to Raheem has been refreshing.
Mhm.
Um, Even as far back as the Dan Quinn stuff. Um, Dan Quinn seemed like catchphrase heavy, and then like Arthur Smith had like no personality whatsoever, or it was very abrasive personality as far as the media went. Give me 1 second. Hey, Jamie.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hang on. Freaking dog. Anyway, so the the idea that Raheem seems genuine in what he's saying, and something we can get into a little bit earlier when he talked about uh, John Jones, or I know his handle is Jay Jones, and he's from CBS. Sat down with Raheem at the combine, and then Raheem made a a slip of phrase that you could twist one way or the other, and he even realized it after he said it. But it also just kind of adds to the genuine nature of Raheem. Is he talks about like what are you looking for in a QB, or the QB situation, and he said we want to get a QB that fits the city. And you saw the interviewer kind of light up like, oh, that's a good soundbite right there.
Yeah, I
You
got
know,
him.
yeah, right. And even Raheem afterwards was like, yeah, you can read into that whatever you want, you know, but it actually added a genuine air to Raheem. I don't know if you got that same sense.
Yeah, he just feels natural,
Right.
right? Now, some of that could be, he's a really good salesman. That he fools everybody into thinking that it's natural, whatever. But at the end of the day, if it produces results, I don't really care
Right.
one way or
Yep.
the other. But at the same time, like yeah, like you said, when you're used to hearing, even with Dan Quinn was like overzealous, right? He was like over exuberance, which I'm not gonna lie and sit here and say like I had him pegged day one or anything like that. Early on, when things was going right, I was totally in with it.
Oh yeah, man. We
Yeah,
we
I
were
was down
fast
with
and
the
physical
brotherhood.
and
I was
brotherhood, all
I
that
was
good
down with
stuff. Yeah.
all of it. All right. So I'm not gonna sit here and try to be like, man, I knew he was BS from the word go, you know, at all. And I'm not even necessarily saying that he's BS now, but they're like when he gets in front of the camera now, maybe I'm assuming he's a totally different guy when he's talking to the team. Maybe not totally different, but he's a little more natural when he's talking to the team. When he's talking to the cameras and he's talking to the press and he's talking to the fans, there was like almost like an over exuberance, and it felt forced or scripted or however you want to look at it. But when I listen to Raheem, it just feels like you're sitting there talking to your buddy. Like
Right.
that's what it feels like. There's just a genuineness to it that you don't necessarily get when you listen to a lot of coaches around the league. And now, granted, we get halfway through the season, maybe, and he's had to do these interviews over and 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 over again. Maybe some of that comes in to just try to save his sanity.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Hey, Fred says
appreciate
he
it,
said
Mister Butts.
Raheem is fresh air. Like I said, it's a different tact, right? You
Mhm.
know, King Seven. Arthur's personality is a lot like Belichick, right?
Yep,
And that wears thin when you're not producing.
it
So,
wears thin when you don't win.
but there you go. There's a T-shirt for you. It wears thin when you don't win. Willie Dolly says, "Great content tonight. Thank you, Willie." He says, "Show
Show
some
some love.
love
Yeah.
by smashing the like button." Yeah, we don't ask y'all to do that kind of stuff very often, but if you're in here and you're enjoying it, yeah, hit that like button. Like I said earlier, tell a friend to tell a friend. Um, let's see,
I don't know what this means. Butt
butt
stomp.
stomp. That's right, butt stomp. That's right. I'm gonna get that on a shirt. Uh, on,
Nintendo will come for you.
on my mama, on my hood. Yep, you missing me with that one, OMT. I think that's part of a song. Oh, yeah, I'm not even gonna try to embarrass myself there. Uh, so anyway, some other comments. This is the one that I think that got everybody really rocking on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Raheem Morris on Atlanta being closer to contention than one might think. And he says, if we had better quarterback play, I may not be standing here at the podium.
Yep.
And he's not wrong. He's not
Nope.
wrong. At the end of the day, whether whoever's choice it was, Arthur's who Arthur, obviously it was his. He's the one that got the axe for it. But bad QB play is what did in the Smith regime, like flat out. The fact
Yeah.
that they couldn't elevate it. So this is what Raheem is going to be tasked to do. But yeah, like it seems like every time they have gotten a chance to talk about QBs, they have gone out not out of their way per se, but it's not an opportunity has not been missed to say that the QB play from last year was very subpar.
Yes. I would
So,
agree.
and then you add that with all the rumors of them being aggressive about trading up, potentially connected with JF1. Like for all those who are holding on to that thread that Ritter may turn into something, dog, he's not. Or at least he when you're a third round pick, you're not given the same chances. However you want to however you want to slice that, whether you think it's fair or not. Like you're not given the same chances when you're not the first round pick.
Oh yeah, no.
So, but I do find that I kind of hope that the sentiment that quote kind of puts a lot of that to rest, right? Like Millie Mills says, which tells me Ritter is done. Yeah, unless something
Well,
crazy happens.
like look, he's cheap. He's going to be on the roster.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He ain't going
It
nowhere.
doesn't save you anything, or what it does save you is so minimal that it may as well not save you anything.
It's
In the grand scheme of things. So, like, he'll still be here.
oh
Like,
yeah,
I mean, he could get cut later on, but I think at the very least he'll be here to potentially compete for a backup job.
and I think that's what it's going to be, right? I think think of Davis Mills of the Houston Texans. Played a whole year, did okay, you know, and they got a chance for Stroud. They got Stroud. Davis Mills is on the bench. Aiden O'Connell out there with the Raiders. Played 5 or 6 games, did okay. If they can get their hands on a QB, Aiden O'Connell's going to be riding the bench.
Yep.
Like that's just plain and simple. If they can get their hands on a Kirk Cousins or a Justin Fields, or which would be hilarious to repair him with Luke Getzey, but however you want to put at it, I think that um, here's the difference though, Dre. I get you. He says I totally disagree with the statement. Ritter on Ritter. Me personally, I still think he could turn into something. Just needs more time to develop, like Jordan Love or sitting behind Roger. Jordan Love was a first round pick. Like I hate to say it like that, but this is where uh the business side of it then meets the development side of it. I know that Zach Robinson said Ritter can be developed. I know that, and he can be developed. But when you don't have the investment in him, there's not the incentive to develop him. Okay, they're not. This coaching staff is not tied to Ritter, right?
No, no,
So
they're definitely not.
whoever they bring in, that's what they're tasked to do. They're tasked to bring in a guy and start winning,
Yep.
whether it's through the draft, whether it's trade, whatever avenue they use. And at that point in time, you ain't got time to sit here and develop Ritter continuously. So can
No.
Ritter play? I'm not saying that he can't.
Now what I'll say is again, I think he'll still be here. I think he'll likely be either QB2 or QB3 on the roster, right? If he's QB2, he's your backup, and he's maybe a guy that you. Now, one of the things I will say that I really liked, at least seemingly worked wonders on the O line, was the development plan that Arthur Smith had for some of the guys, and so if they want to try to implement something like that for the QBs, especially like if you get a rookie QB, obviously he's going to be part of that. But then you got like Ritter and stuff where they can go in and set up a development plan for them and try to help him to become better. Because worst case scenario or best case scenario for us in that way would be he does get better, and then when he comes in and is because he's going to probably at some point play in a backup role, whether that's in we're getting blown out, we're blowing somebody else out, or due to injury or whatever. But he can then, if he can showcase that he's gotten better, that's a potential trade, uh, you know, uh, chip for us
Of
at
course.
a later date potentially. So it's worth it for us to try to see if he
I mean,
can
you're not
give us
okay.
anything
I
more.
guess when I
But
make the statement that you're not going to develop him, he's still going to be part of everything that's going on. Like if he's on the roster, he's part of the reps and everything else. But if you know, I get it. It says it shouldn't matter where you get picked. Yes, I agree. It shouldn't, but it does because where you get picked is are things are tied to that expectations, monetary value, capital, however you want to call it, are tied to where you get picked. So,
yep.
um,
I mean, again, exactly what we said. If Ritter had been a first round pick, okay, he's probably starting this coming season.
I mean, look at Pittsburgh. They picked
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett in the first round, and more than likely, Kenny Pickett's probably going to be their starter. Like they're not giving up on Kenny Pickett. Why? Because they invested a first round pick in him.
Yep.
It's much easier to walk away from a third than it is a first. It's
First
just plain
round
and simple.
for well, he's a first round pick, so you automatically get that potential for a fifth year option,
Right.
right? And two, that first round pick means not just that you gave up the pick, but that first round pick now makes way more money than a third round pick does.
Yep.
So you've invested your draft capital, but you've also invested money,
Yep.
and you have potentially longer control on him if you need it,
Yep.
right? If he turns it around.
And it's like earlier, Millie asked the question. He says, the real question is talking about you talk about that fifth year option. If Fields does come here whenever it's time to pay him, how much is he worth? A first round pick that got traded on a rookie deal doesn't deserve top QB money. That part doesn't matter depending on how he plays out.
Yeah,
Because,
if he comes in here and makes the playoffs 2 years in a row,
yeah, like
he's
think
getting
about it
paid
like
big
this.
money.
Think about it like this. If you go the Fields route, you have at minimum 3 years of control. That's within decent price range. This
Wait,
year, obviously,
is it two
hold on,
years?
hold on.
Okay.
This year,
Oh yeah.
obviously, fifth year option that you would pick up at 20 million, which is cheap for a starting QB, and then you at least could franchise him one time.
Yep.
So, technically speaking, within like decent team control, money wise, you have 3 years, which is what you would potentially be getting with a guy like Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson, as far as because their age and play and stuff like that. So, um, the idea it's been heavily rumored that they want to go younger at the position. Like they want to be in the. They don't want to do this again in a few years. Is what it sounds like by all the reports that are coming out, all the whispers that are being whispered. It doesn't sound like Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins are at the top of their list.
Yeah.
Um, I don't right now. I think their number one move is to trade up in the draft for whoever they're in love with, whether it's a Drake May or Jaden Daniels or even a Caleb Williams. Right? I think that's their option one, and I think
Yes.
option two is probably Justin Fields.
Like honestly, I think if they're trying to trade up in the and somebody it makes sense. I've probably thought it before, but I haven't thought it this year. So it's a new thought for me.
Yeah,
Uh but if we're going to trade up in the draft, there's a very good chance that we're going to know about it this week
oh yeah,
or within the next week.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
so they know going into free agency, okay, we're sitting at number 2 or we're sitting at number 3. So we're going to get whether it's Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jay Daniels, we're going to get one of those 3. And if they go up to 3, they've made up their mind. It doesn't matter which one of those 3 they get. They're going to get one of those 3 guys.
right.
And
Yep.
at that point, they're like, okay, now in free agency, we need this, and they can
Then you
plan that
might
out
see
better.
somebody like them sign a Jacoby Brissett, or if a Gardner Minshew makes it, somebody that uh, you know, if it comes down to it, if they're not comfortable starting the rookie, whoever that might be, the first few games, until he gets, until they feel like he's comfortable. Then you might see somebody like a Jacoby Brissett or something like that, somebody who can win you a few games, and by midway through the season, you're starting the rookie or what have you, right?
Mhm.
So that's my thoughts there. Who wants to do? Because we've kind of talked up. Let's hold on. Let's briefly talk about. We've made one move already.
Yep.
Janu got released
Yep.
today, which that was one of my predictions. Not that it was all that like all that.
Surprising.
Yes, I was about to say the mind blowing, but that wasn't what I was going for. But no, like even though it's like not all that spectacular of a move, saw that one coming. Uh, Especially after the comments of what they said with Kyle Pitts, and how they're excited to see what he's going to bring. He's going to be in more of your focal point as far as the tight end goes, and like whoever the second tight end is probably going to be somebody like a John Fitzpatrick, not
Yeah.
somebody that's going to cost you $7 million. You freed up 6.5 million by cutting him.
Yeah. And so OMT here says, move Kyle outside and get Bowers. Now, if we come out of free agency or maybe even potentially this week, and we find out that they've made the trade for Justin Fields, that becomes a possibility.
Oh yeah, something
But
like
that's
that.
that's only if you're bringing in Fields
Right.
or another vet of some kind or another.
Exactly. I don't think you go with Brock Bowers, not with Pitts on the roster, honestly. Uh, okay. So yeah, we freed up, and I expect some more to be coming. I expect, at bare minimum, Tyler Heineke to get cut as well. Because if you go out and get somebody else, if you trade up, you no longer really need Heineke.
Yeah.
So he would
I mean,
save you a good chunk of money.
yeah, I think regardless whether we trade up, vet doesn't really. Somebody else is going to be starting, and Taylor Heineke costs too much money to be QB2, let alone QB3 if he loses out to Ritter.
Right. Um, like Nathan says, if we trade for Fields, I would look for them to draft an edge at 8. I could see them going corner at 8 as well as
Yeah,
edge.
I can see him
Uh,
on corner or wide receiver.
yeah, a wide receiver at 8. All right, so speaking of the draft, y'all want to do a mock draft? We haven't done one, a community mock draft. So we're thinking about doing a 4-round mock draft. So let's see how this goes. We're going to bam. All right. Today we're going to be using Pro Football Network, just because I have not logged into PFF on this
Oh,
browser.
I'll say
Uh,
I will say King. I hope that we do because I just like Michael Pruitt. Now,
I like Michael Pruitt, but I think, like I said, outside of Tyler Higbee, for the Rams, they had like just a bunch of like free agent, like
well, Michael
undrafted free
Pruitt would
agents,
be
or
that.
yeah, well, I was talking about like undrafted free agent guys, stuff like that. So, all right, we're gonna do 4 rounds.
We got to bring back Parker Hesse.
Dude, you will not get me to argue that or get me mad about that. I love me some Parker Hesse. That's what happened last year. They didn't play Parker Hesse enough.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Let's see.
But
Charleston Nash. Can you say the scenario before you drop? Or
okay,
so
do y'all want to go? Do y'all want to go like free agent QB this time around, or do we want to have QB as the main focus? Because I don't want to do any trades, so I want to stay at 8 on this first one.
yes.
So do we want to just assume that we finagled something and got Justin Fields for this draft for this first one? Do we want to do that? Because I want to kind of, like I said, I want to stay where we are on this one, at least this first one. So let's just assume that we've gotten the QB taken care of, whether it's Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields. Let's just say we handled the QB in the free agent aspect. Okay, so let's do that. All right, we're gonna enter draft.
All right.
All right, so interesting.
Brock went 5th.
Okay, we're not going to entertain trades, at least here.
Yep.
So we're going to reject this and that one and that one. Okay, so on the board is Jaden Daniels still at 8. So what
So
we said we handled. Do we want to scrap the
y-
fact that we handled it?
it's weird because the Bears
They went Drake May.
no, it wasn't Bears. It was
Washington went Joe Alt.
no, there was a tweet I saw where somebody did
Oh,
a mock draft and somehow they got Jaden Daniels at 18. I'm like,
oh, yeah, oh,
what?
good Lord, no. All right, Gabriel's going to say we assume we got Fields. Let's just do that. Let's assume we got Fields. And all right, so we got Dallas Turner.
Man,
I
I
know,
would
I know. Look, man, we got.
I'm gonna say it right now.
Uh huh.
If we go out and get Fields, all right,
Uh huh.
and then draft day comes, we don't make any moves at all. Stay at 8, stick at 8. And we get to 8 and Jaden Daniels is there and we don't pick him, I'm gonna be really, really upset about that. And I mean really.
Okay.
Man, that would be the Falcons to a T. That would be Atlanta Falcons off-season football to a T. Oh.
Okay. So
Gabriel. It's like, wait, no. Jaden is there.
okay. So do we just want to take Jaden? The heck with it and say the heck with it?
I'm taking Jaden.
You're taking Jaden.
I would take if he's there at 8, and I'll even say this: if in real life, if the Falcons go and get Jaden or Justin Fields, and they keep their first, which they should, but if they keep their first round pick, they stick at 8, and Jaden Daniels is still there, you still take Jaden Daniels. Period. End of discussion. Boom. And then you're like, all right, you two battle it out. Boom.
Yeah, figure it out.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. We got Dre Murphy saying take Daniels. We got Chris with the tackle, which wouldn't be bad. Gabriel saying take Daniels.
I don't think you take a. I could be completely wrong. I don't think you take a tackle this year in the first round.
Not in the first round. Like if you wanted like a developmental guy in the third round.
Yeah, you got nowhere
sure.
to put him because he's not going to replace either of the two guys on the outside right now.
All right, let's go. How about this one? Let's flip a coin between Dallas Turner and Teron Arnold. Because I'm thinking if you went with Fields, which is what we set up, that was the scenario. We got to stick with our scenario. We can't just lose our minds. I don't think you're going to grab Jaden Daniels. Just my opinion.
That's going to be, and we're going to be live streaming this. So if you see the top of my head explode,
if Jonathan's screen goes dark,
man, you're going to know exactly why if this scenario happens. We get Justin Fields and Jaden Daniels is there at 8, natural, no trades, no nothing, and he's there at 8, and we don't take him. I'm going to be severely upset about that.
All right, well, today you're going to be severely upset. So we taking Dallas Turner, Teron Arnold, Romeo Odunze, Latu, or Jared Verse. What are you thinking? Nathan says edge or cornerback. Chris is saying Odunze. He says Fields with another great weapon with Rome. So Rome Odunze?
Another wide receiver at 8 when we need. We need wide receivers too, but yeah. I feel like we don't need. I'm not okay. Some people are going to disagree with me on this, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to sit here and tell you that we don't need a wide receiver 1.
Okay? Hold on. All right,
we need a wide receiver 2, 3, 4. That's what we need.
Here's the scouting report. Modern pass rushers often look a bit different than they used to. Dallas Turner fits the modern mold. The rise of the tight fronts. What were we talking about with Raheem?
Yep.
Tight fronts. So I say we take Dallas Turner.
I would go Dallas Turner. Between like a wide receiver and an edge, I personally want edge.
I see a lot more Turners in the comments, so let's go Turner. All right, we're going Dallas Turner. And
Terry and Armstead went immediately. Jaden Daniels went to the Jets.
Romeo Odunze to the Broncos.
the Jaden Daniels probably gets the Jordan Love treatment then.
Oh yeah, there that would be smart there. Let's see. Any other Brian Thomas? They needed another
JJ
JJ
McCarthy.
McCarthy to the Lions. That's
That makes
interesting.
sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
All right, Lassiter, Adonai Mitchell, Darius Robinson, which would have been a nice
Yeah.
second round edge to pick. All right, back on the board. We have Lad McConkey.
Ooh,
There's a nice compliment.
I like Lad.
I love Lad McConkey.
Yeah.
Like I ain't even gonna lie. Like Nathan's already jumping on him. Lad 43.
Hey, there's our boy Michael Penix Jr. Pick him
I'm good. Uh let's see. Gabriel. Lad. I
up.
want Lad just so I can be like McConkey.
Exactly. Well, so
Is
there
Troy
is
Franklin?
that.
Oh, Troy Franklin. If you want like a speedster, like Chris, I'm surprised Chris ain't pounding the table for Troy. Give me the skinny on Troy Franklin, Chris. I know you watched all them.
Uh,
Uh,
I saw somebody earlier talk about Sweat, Tavondre Sweat.
oh yeah,
The
Tavondre Sweat. If you want a big nose tackle, uh,
what's his does that show his yeah. Whoo,
6'4",
340.
346, and a force to be
Yeah.
reckoned with in the middle of the Texas defense. He makes everything possible for his teammates, holding up extremely well at the point of attack, even against double teams. He's a big part of the reason the Longhorns had massively improved front seven in 2022. His stats aren't
Man.
impressive, but we don't expect that. So yeah. Um,
Because like so here's the thing. I like Lad McConkey. I really do. And if we go with Lad McConkey, I'm not going to sit here and be like, that was wrong move.
oh yeah, no.
But, but I will say this. Tavondre Sweat, if he pans out the way that his scouting report shows up, the way a lot of people maybe think that he probably will, all right? If he turns into that big rock in the middle, the ripple effects of him being who we think he's going to be potentially are huge. Now, say the same thing about Lad McConkey. If he comes in and he is your Edelman.
Chris says, I miss Troy. Draft him now. Sorry. Yeah, Troy Franklin is 6'2", 180, speedy receiver, who could split out as an outside receiver or a slot threat. Like if you want a compliment to Drake London, as much as I love Lad McConkey, Troy Franklin, is to me is that deep threat that can take the top off, and he's a threat to house it just about any time he touches the ball.
All right, so okay, so if in my brain at this point, because I'm going with Chris, like I know Chris knows this guy way more than I know him, and I know Lad, and he's a really good receiver.
Yeah,
Maybe who knows if he's even there when we go to pick. Maybe he falls into the third round for us. Maybe we get our extra second rounder. Maybe we can take him then.
maybe.
Personally, the most amount of impact likely at this stage is probably going to be Tavondre Sweat,
I
your
think
your
it's
big nose tackle.
yeah, I think it's a toss between Trevonde Sweat and Troy Franklin. Uh, Chris Charleston Nash talking about like BPA, so BPA would say Lad McConkey
Jordan, well,
or
BPA would be Jordan Morgan if
yeah,
we're
George
going
Morgan.
based on their rankings that they've got here. That would be an offensive tackle, which again, I'm not taking a tackle
No,
personally.
I'm
I'm
not
not
taking
taking
a
a tackle
tackle
in the
right
second
now.
round.
I'm taking a tackle maybe third, fourth round to develop to eventually take over for Jake. But I'm not taking one. I don't need one to start right away. Yeah, I need
Yeah,
one to either take over for Jake or take over for Caleb. Uh, so Dre Murphy says JR takes Sweat. Nathan says Sweat is a good pick. Um, you know what, for this 3-4, I think you got to have that nose tackle.
yeah,
Uh,
and like I
so
said, think about it. When you think of all the great 3-4 defenses, yeah, you hear about the linebackers that what's his name, Ray Lewis, and all those guys.
Right.
The reason why Ray Lewis was able to be Ray Lewis was because initially it was because of Tony Siragusa, and then later on whoever, I can't remember who the next guy was, but they had like back to back really good defense, like
Yep.
nose tackles, and those nose tackles allow the outside rushers. They allow the inside linebackers to
Yep.
roam free on the run game as well as the
All
pass
that.
game.
It's
All
it's
of
it's
that.
hugely important. Like even
It's
King says, the last time we got a big guy like that was Poe, and we was a top 10 run stopping defense.
yep.
Go get Sweat. That's all right. All right, we're gonna back up the Dallas Turner pick with Tavonde Sweat. All right, Jordan Morgan went, Haynes, Lad McConkey to the Colts,
Huh?
Franklin to the Jags. Maybe Trevor Lawrence can do something with him. Um, let's see any other interesting. Max Milton as a corner. We still could
Will
look at
Shipley.
corners.
Will
Yeah, Will
Shipley went.
Shipley is an interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, Crimson got you. He said hello Tinata was the
There you go. There.
was the
Yep.
next
That's the
one. Yep.
name. As soon as I saw it, I knew it. Yep.
Yep.
Thank
Yep.
you,
Yep. Yep.
Crimson.
And
All right.
all right. Nope. Nope. Go away. All right. So we're looking now at Roman Wilson. There's your deep threat.
Yeah.
There's your
I like that.
there's your deep threat as far as that goes. Turbocharged athlete with rare, raw, explosive speed and dynamicism. Dynamicism.
Dy-
Dynamicism.
dyna-
Uh-huh.
dynamism.
Sure. Uh, so hyper elite explosive to throttle up and attack open zones. Long strider. Yeah. I like.
I mean, the only thing I have against him, and I think this was kind of the same thing with Rasheed Rice last year, and see how he turned out, which is that he's a little on the short side. But other than that,
Oh yeah. Let's see. Where did Coleman go? Keenan Coleman, first round, 19th overall. Millie was asking where Coleman went. So 19th overall. So we didn't really have a shot at him anyway.
yeah.
All right, back to where we were at. I'm saying Roman Wilson. Oh, Xavier Leggett is another.
Ooh.
So he's 6'3", 227. Now I'm talking this is like a DK Metcalf, in a sense. Yeah, he's got some explosion. So if you're wanting some guy with a little bit more size to him, Leggett is that dude.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
would
look,
I'd be
I
down with either Leggett or Roman Wilson. So what you
um
chuckling at?
I saw Dre down here. He's like, "Oh, gee, we didn't get Justin Fields. We got a Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson instead, bro."
Either way. Hey, look, that was either way.
We're
We
just
handled it. This scenario. We handled it in the free agency. Okay.
yeah.
Next time we do it,
I'm
we won't handle it in free agency.
so this may change after the combine, but I am more partial to. I don't necessarily need to have guys that are 6'5", 6'6", but I'd like my receivers to be a little bit on the bigger side. And Xavier
I'm
Leggett,
thinking Leggett. Like Leggett
yeah,
to me, like you can do some things with Leggett. Let's see. Uh explosive kick return potential, height, weight, speed anomaly who will receive more than a few DK Metcalf comps. He's unbelievably explosive. In fact, he'll likely be one of the fastest players at the draft, even at nearly 230 pounds. He doesn't turn like a cruise ship as a route runner either, but his most impressive attribute is high pointing ability and vice grip hands. All right, I think we should go Leggett.
yeah.
I
I'm
think we
down
should
with
go Leggett.
Xavier Leggett.
All right, we're going to draft Leggett. All right, who's our? Hey, we might even get crazy and get Roman Wilson as well.
Maybe
He's still there. Y'all want Roman Wilson too? We can really, we can really
go.
get 11 personnel going with Drake, Leggett, and Roman Wilson.
So we're double dipping on wide receivers here in the third round, huh?
Maybe, I don't know. We ain't got to. I just it's an idea. What else we got? We can go. I don't know much about Bo Braid, a safety out of Maryland. Uh, let's see. Provides versatility, although he's 210 pounds and barrel chested, he can survive in space and thrive as a split field safety. But he also has enough speed and route recognition and feel to survive as a true single high player. So if you wanted to, I know we're not a lot of us are sold at this point with Richie Grant.
Yeah, the strong safety side.
So he can. Okay, so the
Oh,
Missouri
who's that?
cornerback,
Yeah,
Chris Abrams Durain, 5'11", 179, smaller side corner.
I got to step away for just a moment.
All right, man, do what you got to do. Me and the chat will talk it up. So one of the most productive corners prospects. He comes in off the 22 campaign. 14 pass deflections is a bit light, but as a former wide receiver, he brings excellent ball skills. So that's your Chris. That's your highest rated corner, Turner. Uh, okay. Let's see. So that's King. If we go corner, who's King? Oh, Kalen King out of Penn State. 5'11", 170. Okay. So do y'all want to go corner here? Or do we want to go? I'm thinking corner is probably not a bad idea. Ooh, Braden Fisk, but we already added a DT. Uh, don't bring Kurt. Oh, okay. Y'all talking about QBs again. Josh Newton out of TCU. Oh,
All right,
glad you're
so
back.
so is this still that second or the third round pick?
Yeah, the second, third round pick. So I'm looking at either corner or safety. So the two corners,
Um,
Chris is talking about Kalen King out of Penn State, or then you got Chris Abrams out of Missouri.
so what about Javon Bullard?
The safety out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
He's a little on the light side.
Yeah,
180.
180. Yeah. He's more that free safety. If I was
Okay.
going, Dre says go corner. So let's go corner and let's go.
Oh, can you do yeah, like the little filters? There you go.
Yeah, we can do that. Bam. So we got Kalen Carson out of, which would be a good pick, 69 on the 79.
It'd be good
Let's
value.
see. Yeah. 6 foot, 195. I kind of like that. He's a little bit bigger than the other two that we were looking at. Snappy fluidity off release and route breaks. Carson is one of the most proficient corners in the draft, successfully matching wide receivers with technique and athleticism, and then gathering and suffocating them with his biting competitive edge and productive physicality. Sounds good to me. I like that one. So value wise, I'm going to go Kalen Carson just because I haven't dived into corners just yet. So
Yeah.
we'll go that route and see what we get. Oh, pro football, they didn't change their the way it looks right there. Oh, okay.
Kaylee King or Crimson said that Kaylee King reminded him of Brent Grimes with his ball skills.
Gotcha. And Chris says, Carson's a beast. So I think we at least got good value there.
Nice.
As we go on and get more information about these guys, our opinions will get better informed. All right. I might entertain a QB here. I doubt it, but Michael Pratt out of Tulane, he's just an interesting prospect. But
So have we seen? Okay, so if we were looking at a second QB or a QB to draft,
yep,
right, as a developmental guy, whatever, has Rattler been taken yet?
looks like it.
Dang,
Yeah,
that's the guy. Like
he would have been
if
about the only one I would have considered.
yeah,
Now, interesting though is Jameer Thrash
mm-hmm.
is a wide receiver that I hear get bandied about a lot. So if we wanted to double dip, he's a little older, but majority of Trash's appeal comes from his route running ability. One of the best separators in 24. So that might
I
be
would take him because that's the whole reason why I would have gone with Alad McConkey, not his. Although he's one of those sneaky guys that can get behind you if you're not careful, but he's more like I said in my mind, he's more the Edelman kind of guy. That's like you put him in the slot, let him run the little ins and outs and jerk routes and different things like that
right.
to give you like that free 5 yards basically. Like
Now, if we
separate.
wanted to add another edge rusher, we could add Caden Ellis's brother. So get Ellis's brother from Utah, Jonah Ellis. So he's an
6'2",
interesting
two
edge.
forty seven. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting edge guy. Um, let's see. Somebody was asking about Jordan Travis from FSU. Looks like
Oh,
somebody's already snapped him up, so we missed out on that one. And then they were saying Ricky
that would have been
Pearsall.
Remember, what was it? Was it last year? Yeah, there was a guy last year who, I think it was a Michigan guy. I can't remember exactly who it was, but he hurt his arm, and
Yeah,
he's like, he's not going to be able to play the whole year. But like, I would absolutely take him as like a third, fourth round guy.
yeah, yeah. I remember who you're talking. That was Adobo from Baltimore, not
Was it?
Adobo. It was started. It was something like that.
Anyway, but
Um,
yeah, no, I do agree with Dre here. You can never have enough pass rushers. So
that's
in
right.
my brain, if I'm thinking, so I'm gonna say I like Jamari Thrash. Like I want that.
Oh
I
crap!
want that slot guy. That
I
can.
hit the wrong damn button, guys.
What'd you
I was trying to get the scouting report for Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver, and I accidentally
do?
hit draft.
Well, we got a
So,
wide receiver.
so we got a wide receiver. My apologies, people. Y'all can get mad at me on that one. I was having fun with the discourse.
Is there?
Nathan
So
said,
what?
"Who'd we pick?" We got Ricky Pearsall, who I really like coming out of Florida. Um, I did
It's
not
like,
mean to hit draft, so y'all got to King's laughing at me.
and Nathan was like, "Good job."
That's right. Pitts will be happy. Now, Ricky Pearsall is a good wide receiver. I don't know if we want to double dip. I would probably want to double dip because we're going to be running a lot of 11 personnel, and the free agent wide receiver class
Yeah.
is, who knows if we'll get somebody there. But my apologies. I did not mean to. I got a little happy on the trigger finger.
How dare you?
I know, right? I know. All right, but here's our first community mock draft. We went 4 rounds. I got a little trigger happy on the last one. But we ended up, I think, like, dude, if we come away with something like this, it's pretty good. It's pretty
Yeah.
good, especially if
I
you add a Jay Fields or a Kirk Cousins or whatever. Uh, that's like so. We got Dallas Turner, Tavondre Sweat, Xavier Leggett, Kalen Carson, and then Ricky Pearsall. So, out of our 5 picks, we got 3 defensive guys and 2 offensive guys.
yeah.
That's not
I'm
bad.
I I'm totally down. Like probably my favorite picks is number one, that last pick, because comedy gold. But
Oh yeah.
if we go past that, uh, my favorite picks are probably I'm gonna say Tavondre Sweat and Leggett. Like
Oh yeah.
I really
Yeah.
like those, because I know at least I know about those guys a little bit. I know about
Right.
Pearsall, and I do agree he's a guy. But I honestly, like, if we hadn't made that little
Little flub up.
yeah, that little flub there, if we were going to go wide receiver, I would have gone Thrash, because I do want that
That
slot
separator.
guy. I was
Like
that's what I was
Rick.
talking about. I want that
Right.
separator in the slot
Yep.
that can do a whole lot of things for you.
All right. King's got a good one. He says, now before we go, we have to put 2 free agents with this draft class. Who we get? I'm going to say in this scenario, I'm going to say we got Justin Fields, because I'm going to say that meets more of the boxes. Young, fits the city, obviously being from here. Some of the things that we're hearing right now, I think that fits more the mold. I'm not saying that's exactly what I want, but I'm saying as far as like if I had to take an educated guess, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna say we went uh Justin Fields and I'm gonna pretend well, thank you, Chris. But anyway, I'm gonna say we went Justin Fields and we went the Darnell Savage safety from former safety from Green Bay. That's the 2 free agents that I'm going to say we add to this draft class. So what do you think, Jonathan? Who would you add free agent wise to
Okay,
this draft
so
class?
if we look at this draft and say QB was a free agency or trade, then I'm going to say Justin Fields because I would rather have him than anybody else
Right.
out there. Maybe short of Cousins, but I don't really want to pay Cousins that much money.
Right.
And I think Russell Wilson's at this point in his career. So I'm willing to take a shot on Fields.
Okay.
So I do agree with the Fields pick. However, I do think personally, I think if I'm doing anything else in the free agent market, I'm probably going edge, and I want Daniil Hunter.
So you're going to add Daniil Hunter. You're going to completely remake the edge room with Dallas Turner and Daniil Hunter, which
Yep.
would be an amazing pairing. Like the awesome vet with the, you know, I did
you
send in
said
the
the
wrong
you
card. I'm
said the
sorry.
wrong card in.
Roger Wade.
Wait.
Roger Wade. Nathan said Russ and Tyler Rapp. That would be, I don't want Russ, but I don't blame you there. Like I can see it.
Yeah.
Um, King said fire. Thank you, King. Chris says Greg Gaines and Justin Fields. Now, would you add Gaines with Sweat, like as a rotational, like defensive tackle kind of situation going on there? Dre says Russ with Josh Allen or Brian Burns, Daniil Hunter, or Christian Wilkins. Can't go wrong there. Can't go wrong there. Cool.
King, King
You,
say,
you hit
I
it.
think we
Right.
hit it at
Yeah.
the same
Yep.
time.
We did.
You can't go wrong with this draft class. That defense will be nasty, and I agree.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like with as many people that we're losing here, like in free agency, like you have the opportunity to really remake this defense. Um he might not fit the 3-4. I mean that's what they're running up there and with Flores. They're running a version of a 3-4 up there.
Probably like 3-4 under where they
That's what I'm saying. Like
whatever. Yeah.
right. And the tight front, like you could easily put Hunter in the tight front and be pretty good there. Be just fine, as a matter of fact. All right, folks. We went for quite a while.
Yeah, we did.
Doing mock drafts always do that.
My dinner is waiting on me.
Oh yeah, well go get some dinner. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us and chopping it up. As always, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128. At man, GRIMM1128. My God, everything. This messed me up. This right here, whatever your boy DZ was trying to do with the pink poop got me all jacked up. Anyway, where can where can folks find you, Jonathan?
They can find me in Parts Unknown. That's where
Parts Unknown.
No, you can find me at Jonathan M. Holder. Come by, say hi. And I will say this to Biggs. You think Burns would be a better fit? I probably would say I would take Burns regardless of whether.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, look,
he's,
I'll take
he's a
Burns
young,
figured out.
he's a young guy, and he'll get it figured out. And I'd be totally down with. I want Daniil Hunter or Brian Burns, one of those two.
There it is. There it is. All right, folks. Keep your eye on the channel. We'll have another free agent forecast on Friday. This time looking at the secondary, and then who knows when I'll pop up with another off-season outcome on the shorts. So, as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.